Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. The impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte formally opened this week with tense exchanges, not just between the prosecution and the defense, but also among senator judges themselves. Lawmakers on Monday clashed over who should serve as a presiding officer. What were the biggest legal takeaways from this week's proceedings, and which side gained the early advantage? Let's get on point with former FEU Law Dean, Attorney Mel Sta. Dean Mel, good to see you again, as always.
My pleasure, Pinky.
Thank you so much. Let's start with your assessment on the first 3 days of the hearing.
July 6, 7, and 8, prosecution.
All 3 days.
All 3 days prosecution. The highlight of June 6, ang highlight dyan yung opening statement. Congresswoman Luistro, yung opening statement niya, talagang he catered to the public. No? Talagang yung mga salita niya, saan naman kayo nakakita ng Vice Presidente na may kaibigan na assassin? Dito lang, sabi niya. So yung mga statement niya talagang grassroots level, naiintindihan ng mga tao. Because at that point, yung opening statement, hindi ebidensya yun eh. That is the political nuance of the case. Dapat ang hinahabol mo dyan, yung mga taong nanonood. Yung kabila, magaling rin siya. Si Atty. Season, magaling ang jurisprudence niya, magaling ang kanyang mga research, kaya lang para siyang profesora. Para siya
Why do you say that?
Sasabihin niya, the shifting of the burden of evidence. Eh, kung ikaw nanonood,
lies with the prosecution.
Okay, ano yun? Locus standi. Yun yung mga kanyang, mga kataga niya, yun yung mga prima facie case. So therefore, makikita mo yung talagang contrast nila. Luistro was exploiting the political aspect of the opening statement. Si naman, Atty. Season, the lecture type procedure. Stoic siya. Ito flexible. So that's July 6. July 7.
May I cut you there first? I want to discuss that a little bit, how you
Yes.
saw it. When you talked about the opening statement of Congresswoman Jinky Luistro, when you sinabi niyong parang inilapit niya sa tao yung issue, there was also a point that she kept harping on the fact that bakit ito importante sa taong bayan.
Yun na nga, di ba? He captured the moral higher ground. Yun ang gusto niya.
Why should you care?
Yes, and
Okay.
to connect to the emotional gravity of the situation. No, hindi niya sinabing parang debate to. This is a profound concern for the Philippines. Yun ang kanyang mga linggo. Talagang lofty ideals, no? Talagang at pinababa niya grassroots level ang kanyang mga example. Ang barangay treasurer kung nahuhuli pinaparusahan, bakit hindi dito?
Okay.
Yung double standard ng justice, yung integrity ng republic, at saka yung public office sa public trust. Everything lofty. Konti lang yung mga articles of impeachment actually, pasaring lang yun. Pero yung kubilanga, medyo lecture type talaga siya.
Then I wanted to go to Attorney Season. Sabi mo nga stoic yung
Yes,
kanyang dating, yung kanyang itsura. But she was also underscoring the fact that there's so many millions of people who actually voted for the Vice President. Yun naman yung kanyang isa sa mga ipinunto ng legal team ni Vice President.
Yes. Maganda yun. Magandang punto yun. Parang sinasabi niya, dapat hindi talaga mas madali ang pagtatanggal ng isang Vice Presidente. Ang sabi niya, ang pinakapunto lang ng proceeding na ito, patalsikin ang Vice President. Iisipin mo, di ba, yun nga ang punto nito nung proceeding. Ibig sabihin, okay, pero di ba yan yun? So yun yung kaibahan nila. So, ibig sabihin ko, pareho silang magaling.
Pero stark differences, no?
They're both good, kaya lang nag-resonate, I think, sa mga tao, si Luistro.
Okay.
That is her advantage.
And then you wanted to talk about the next day.
July 7, it's the boring legal proceeding. Ang punto mo lang doon, mapasok mo lahat ng ebidensya mo. Lalong-lalo na yung videong maliit. Dapat mapasok yon because that is a crucial evidence. Kaya ang kanilang witness, si Kalilong, isang
Senior agent
NBI
kayo.
agent, at talaga makikita mo, sinunod nila yung mga requirements ng batas. Kasi paano mo bang ipapasok ang video? Sabi ng Korte Suprema, origin. Kung nilagay mo sa storage dyan, proof that it is secure. At ang pagdadala mo sa korte, proof that it was not contaminated. So, yung origin, in-identify nila kay Harry Roque yan yung Facebook. Humingi sila ng request for preservation sa Meta, sa Facebook. Tapos, kinopya nila. At nung kinopya nila, tinignan namin, ginaxtapose namin para sigurado namin tama yon. At nag-create sila ng tinatawag na hash value calculator. Ito yung fingerprint. Na oras na gumalaw lang ang isang pixel doon, contaminated yon. Pinreserve nila yon. At paano nila na-comply yung pagdadala sa korte na uncontaminated, niligay nila sa sealed envelope ba yun o plastic? Kaya si Kalilong parati niyang sinasabi, yes, I have the USB. Can I open it? Yes. Kasama yon sa evidence. Binubuksan niya, pinapakita niya para makita uncontaminated. Sige, palabas niyo. So, sinundan lahat ng mga requirements ng Supreme Court. So, kaya ang tagal Kasi pare-parehong mga tanong sa successive videos, di ba?
To many, of course, we understand that this is an impeachment proceeding. It's a court on its own, on its own. Juris generis.
Yes.
How do you say that again, sir?
Sui generis.
Sui generis. I'm sorry. However, when we talk about this video, because this is the first article of impeachment being discussed, ito pong threats against the President,
Right.
the First Lady, and even former Speaker Martin Romualdez, ang dami ho siguro, hindi naman siguro madami, meron siguro masasabi na bakit ganyan katindi ang pagtackle ng issue nitong video na ito na napanood naman ng napakaraming tao. Siguro what's the easiest explanation for that?
Well, nasabi na rin ni Senate, ni Chief Escudero, yung presiding judge. Kasi sa normal court, pwede ka namang mag-judicial affidavit. Ibig sabihin yung question and answer, pwede mo nang iligay sa affidavit, tapos sasabihin mo lang, do you confirm and affirm this judicial affidavit as yours? So, tapos yun na, tapos na. Pero dito, in-explain ni Escudero, sabi niya, kasi this is a constitutional, legal, and political proceeding. And so that we want the people to see all of the revelations, all of the evidence being presented. Kaya humaba ng ganon. Pero may punto kasi kasi kung uumpisa ka sa articles of impeachment ng Article 4, sinabi naman doon yung buong statement ni Vice President Sara Duterte. At yung answer, hindi naman talaga nila sinasabing hindi sinabi yan. Ang sinasabi lang nila, it was an exercise of her freedom of expression. It was an exercise of his frustration na merong banta sa kanya, and it does not reach the level of grave threats or inciting to sedition. In effect, sinasabi nila, nasabi nga yan, pero hindi iyan humahantong sa impeachable offense. So, in a way, there is some admission there.
Parang hindi siya parte ng high crimes, no? Or an impeachable offense.
But,
that was the closing statement also
yes,
a while ago.
But the statement itself was not attacked. Its existence is there.
But how can it be attacked? Were there ways that they tried to attack that statement? For example, much of the video also, after the direct examination, yung sa cross-examination po ni Senior Agent Calilong, si Attorney Narvasa showed so many snippets of that 2-hour and so video, which was only shown 2 minutes during the direct examination. Di ba?
Yes.
Nagkaroon din ng debate tungkol dyan. Pagdating po sa cross, doon po inilabas ni Attorney Narvasa yung snippets ni Attorney Lopez.
Yes.
To which she had been saying that why drag me in the middle of the night, in the dead of the night? I answered all your questions. Don't I have rights as well? What were they trying to point?
They're trying to point that yung outburst ni Vice President VP Sara was a combination of so many things. 'Di ba, yung threat daw sa buhay nila, sabi ng abogado niya, at saka yung ginagawa sa kanyang mga tauhan. So out of frustration, nasabi niya 'yon. Iyon ang parang idea nung nagtalumpati na ng abogado ni Sara Duterte. But what is significant there? I think this is where the prosecution outsmarted the defense. Because if you are to present a digital device, then you must attack that digital device. You must destroy its integrity. You must say that that is contaminated and all sorts of things to destroy its credibility nga, no? Pero nang nangyari, nag-away sila nung July 7. Nung sabi, ang papalabas lang namin, sabi ni attorney for the prosecution, yung snippet. Tapos sabi ni Norbasa, bakit hindi natin palabas?
Lahat, in 2 hours and plus.
Nagkaroon ng debate dyan. Pero sabi ni Senate presiding officer, no, the prosecution can just show the snippet. Now, if you want to show the rest, then it's up to you. And so the next day, pinalabas nga nila. So the question is, may issue pa ba ang authenticity, integrity nung USB na iyon? Because they themselves
showed snippets
showed
of
it and made use of it as their evidence.
So you're saying that's how the prosecution outsmarted them?
I think that was one of them, no? Na talagang na-outsmart sila. And that is why the prosecution says, we have no redirect. Because this is the reason why we have to listen carefully doon sa offer of evidence ng prosecution. Ang ginawa ng prosecution, nagtalumpati muna, nagdebate na naman sila doon. Then nag-offer siya ng evidence. This is to show the fourth article, and this is to provide the video, the integrity, etc., etc. And so, she presented a witness to authenticate the document. And then, on cross, sige, you have to destroy that evidence because that is the proof of that statement. But wala, ginamit rin eh. So how can you say that that is not authentic when you yourself used it? Diba? So,
But do you think they were left with no other choice?
Probably yes, because nga ang defense nga nila, the outburst was a combination of so many things. Kaya yung parting yun nung
Attorney Zuleika.
Zuleika was one of them. So yun.
That's why they kept showing snippets of that video of Attorney Lopez. We're going to
Yes.
take a very short break. We'll continue our discussion with Dean Mel Sta when we return. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. Still with us, former FEU Law Dean Attorney Mel Sta. Just quickly, just to recap that, could there have been ways to attack the credibility of that particular flash drive or meron ho bang device? Meron ho bang paraan?
It will be very hard because they generated already what you call a hash value calculator. Ito yung signature. Kasi yung signature, if only one single pixel umangat, contaminated yon.
It's that sensitive.
It is that sensitive. So that, palagay ko, kaya very confident si NBI, you could check it. Kasi magja-jibe yung audio tsaka visual.
So, Dean, was it warranted that, of course, senator judges can ask their questions with limits, okay? Let me just bring up a couple of points there. When Senior Agent Calilong was there for about 9 hours, according to Senator Bamakino, that was yesterday, in combination of yesterday and today, there were points that were question number one. Was it AI generated? How important was it to be able to thresh this particular issue out?
Well, ang sabi ni Calilong, well, AI now is just very, very short.
Maiksi lang daw.
Maiksi lang. Pero ito, mahaba ito. So it is impossible. Tsaka sabi niya nga, parang ginaxtopose niya, yung digital origin ng galing kay Harry Roque at yung kanilang kinolek. At pagkatapos, yun na nga, nag-generate na sila ng hash value calculator. Napakatindi nun. Very scientific na yun. In short,
very advanced, actually. It's the first time I've heard of it, really.
Very advanced. And the cross-examination did not even touch on the science and technology
behind
of this
that
thing. Ang inatake lang nila, the motivation, the political, the affidavit, and yet wala dun sa technology.
Let's talk about those, what you mentioned. Questions were raised also on, we talked about AI, or if it was a conditional or absolute threat. Was that something Senior Agent Calilong was supposed to answer? Because could it just be possibly be that, well, he investigated it. So,
Yes.
tinanong siya, absolute or conditional? What were your thoughts about that? Because he said it was conditional, but when Senator Judge Alan Peter Cayetano said, but what is your personal take? Ang sabi niya, absolute.
Yes.
I was a little confused about that.
Well, because if you read it, it is in a way conditional in the loose sense. Basta pinatay ako, ito gagawin nyo. That was the condition. Pero absolute in the sense that when you make a threat, it's a threat. It does not really depend on whatever
Whether there's a
the
condition.
contingency. Hindi mo na nga kailangan pa i-prove yung nagkontrata nga ba. Basta't ang threat kasi, isang pagbabanta at nakakatakot ang banta at may natakot. Yun lang yun. Then that is threat, grave threat. Kaya, you know, in the loose
It
sense,
doesn't matter if there's a condition or not. Is that what you're saying?
yes, it doesn't
Okay.
matter whether there is a condition or not. It must be a straightforward threat that caused fear, and some people became concerned.
Now, are they going to present this supposed assassin?
Well,
There's talk, right?
there is talk, yes, but if we are to look closely at jurisprudence kasi on grave threats, you don't really have to prove that it was accomplished. You don't really have to prove the arrangements to do it. It's just the threat.
Period.
Period. It's just the threat that caused fear. Yun lang ang requirement.
What if they say that it did not cause fear for the mere fact that there was no complaint coming from the president?
That was one of the subject of cross-examination. Nag-file ba ang presidente? Nag-file ba ang first lady? Nag-file ba si former Speaker of the House? No. Sabi niya, hindi niya alam. Ano? So probably that was the direction of the cross. So hindi sila natakot. Parang ganon. Hindi sila natakot. Pero of course, you have to, ang sagot naman ng kabila in their pleadings, but this involves a matter of national security. Because you also have to contextualize that threat, sabi nila. This is not a threat of a simple person, but this is a threat of a person which, personified the government of the Philippines. Something to that effect.
But looking back, if there was a complaint at least filed by the president, would that have strengthened this grave threat statement?
Definitely, syempre.
Okay.
Syempre, kung ikaw ang apektado, magfa-file ka. So, it could have strengthened it further.
Case. All right. And one last thing about that. Senator Judge Alan Peter Cayetano also was talking about, when he was asking Senior Agent Calilong, it went to the point of him asking, was the Vice President's, any threat to the Vice President, was that also investigated?
Yeah.
Was that, and should that have been part of the questioning during that impeachment
Well,
trial?
if he were a lawyer, mag-o-objection siguro yung abogado ng prosecution because it is not relevant to the case. But of course, judge siya, so wala siyang rules, no, except the 2-minute rule, no, and at saka wag siya magtatalumpating parang nagde-decide na siya. So, yeah, parang ang punto niya doon, may selective justice kayo. Talagang ang tinutuon nyo lang isang tao, ito lang ang gusto. The persecution aspect.
But then who is the one being impeached? Isang tao lang naman ho talaga, hindi
Yes.
ba?
Yes.
Okay.
Kaya that is their connect. That is correct. So that was the message I think being relayed by Senator Judge Cayetano. And also that might also be the direction why tinanong ni Narvasa, sino yung presidente, vice-presidente, things like that. So makapangyarihan sila. So they could really, parang ang insinuation they could really undertake a selective sort of justice, di ba?
All right. Next witness, who are we expecting? So next week, it's also going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Sa Monday po is Attorney Lotok or Lontok.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's Lontok or Lotok. And this will still be on the threats against the first family.
Right.
Okay. Here's what it can become a little bit might be complicated, very interesting. On Tuesday, the prosecution team said they're going to call on Attorney Zuleika Lopez. That's what I heard. Did you hear the same thing?
Talaga? Totoo yun?
Yun po narinig ko, but
Lopez.
subject to ano?
Lopez. Probably it's a Well, it's a strategy, yes. Pwede siyang umupo doon to be as a hostile witness.
Yun po yung tawag sa kanya.
Hostile
oo.
witness.
Kasi hostile for the prosecution, obviously.
Yes,
oo.
because there's a difference between your witness and a hostile witness.
Yeah.
Your witness, you cannot ask leading question. Yung bangang question, yung sagot nasa loob na. Halimbawa, nung Tuesday ba, nasa palengke ka at bumili ka ng manok? Leading question yun.
Okay.
Sasagot ko lang, yung abogado na nagnanarrate. Iyon, hindi pwede yun sa witness mo.
Dapat ang tanong, anong ginawa mo nung Martes?
Yes, what happened next, bang ganon. Pero sa hostile witness, they can ask leading questions. That is maganda rin, no? Kasi he is a hostile witness, she will not probably be cooperative, so you're allowed to ask leading.
How does that help the prosecution?
Well, they must calculate also. They must calculate, they must calibrate kasi maaring it may go down, it may be a disadvantage for them, and it may be an advantage for them. Kung hindi
It's a gamble,
cooperative,
huh?
it's a gamble. It's really a gamble. Sasabihin niya, takot na takot, kaya alam ko po, inong pakay lang ni VP Sara. I mean, she could say anything. Hindi siya pipigilan.
SC motion filed before the Supreme Court. We have a couple of minutes left. So there's a motion filed before the Supreme Court basically to stop the impeachment proceedings on several grounds. Let's talk about the first one. The presiding officer, Presiding Officer Francis Cheese Escudero was voted during the first day of the hearing. Basically, they're saying hindi pwede sila. Hindi siya dapat. Dapat si Senator Win Gatchalian being the Senate President because although there's nothing na malinaw or clear in the Constitution. If we have that, let's put that on graphics. It was already said that during the minutes of the meeting of the 1987 Constitution, nasabi doon clearly na si Supreme Court Justice kapag ang uupo, presiding officer, kapag presidente ang nililitis. Pero for all others, it will be the Senate President. So that's basically what it says. And add ko na po, but the Senate also has they are allowed to promulgate their own rules.
Yes.
Paano po pinagko-complement o binabangga yun?
Okay. Ang basis lang kung yung Senate President is the deliberations. Because what is in the Constitution? Sa Chief Justice kung Presidente, presence of a delegated authority. Kung lower than the President, absence. But absence does not mean ambiguity. There is a meaning to that, a significance. Kaya absence yan because of the next provision, which says that Congress shall have the sole authority to promulgate its own rules. And therefore, the intention of the absence is one of fluidity, flexibility, so that you could answer the call of the time.
Sorry, I just have to put this in. Pero kung pinag-usapan po nila, it was Christian Monsod, it was former Chief Justice Hilario Davide. Pero pag pinag-usapan po sa minutes, what is the probative weight of that? How important is that, even if it was not written in the Constitution?
Well, if the provisions are clear, and for me, absence is not necessarily ambiguous, it can be intended, then you don't go to the deliberation. Sabi nga nila, intent as to the origin, yung iniisip mo pa lang yung batas. But perfection is in the expression. Basta in-express mo na yung batas, limited ka na dyan. Tignan na natin ang batas. Wala na yung deliberations.
You know, actually, as obviously a non-lawyer and looking into and trying to study everything, I actually always wondered why it just never said in the Constitution that the Senate President should be the presiding officer.
Precisely because of what happened previously. Kita mo, yung nung nangyari this is just my example, yung I think yung July 2, 3, 4, yung nawala yung majority. So,
July, 3 po sila na gano'n.
Yeah, the majority disappeared, and so the system worked. Yung minority dumating si Cheese, they declared everything vacant, and then they elected somebody.
I stand corrected there. That was July 3, nung dumating po
Yes.
si Senator Cheese. There was one other point that they raised also. It's that July 3 meeting, that meeting of the senators last July 13, kung saan po nagpunta si Senator Cheese Escudero. And I guess that was also Senator Joel. I'm sorry about my dates, nagmamadali na po ako. But that is also being questioned because of the 12-member.
Yes.
Sorry, wala pa po si Senator Joel. Senator Cheese lang po yun.
Yes, oh.
Yung 12 sila.
Yes.
At doon po nila binago yung rules
Yes.
that they can elect a presiding officer.
That falls squarely under Avellino versus Cuenca.
Doon po. Yung
Determination of the quorum.
the
Yun
quorum.
lang. Yes.
Which, last question, do you think this is something the Supreme Court will decide on?
No, it should not. The Supreme Court should not intrude itself in this mess, no? Para kamukha yung ginawa nila sa TRO, wala na lang silang ginawa. It's not for them to decide in the internal disputes inside a separate independent
And you think they
department.
won't decide on this?
Yes, I think so. They will not decide.
Former FEU Law Dean, Attorney Mel Santa Maria, always a pleasure, sir. I'm sure we'll be talking more about this next week. Maraming salamat
My
po sa
pleasure.
inyong
Thank you.
oras. Thank you, Dean. That's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.